It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, I don't know. I was thinking about this. I think I've said this before, but I feel like we might need Brandon Rosside to do another voiceover for specifically for Fridays, because we typically have DB on here. DB is on here, and it didn't say his name. So, and Derrick Bell joining the podcast. DB, how you doing?
I'm just disrespected, man. Like, people think TJ's being disrespected about getting put 11th on the NFL top 100. Yeah, nothing I'm not used to. As if anybody cares about that list. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Ready to talk some ball.
Second time this week on the channel. This is like Monday we did the SN Plus subscribers only with us, and Joe Morrison joined on that as well. But a lot of screen time, as I said, for your boy recently. Probably more than people want to see. Alan, how you doing? What day is it, by the way?
Don't know. You know what? It's Friday. It is Friday because I'm going to a high school football game tonight. So now it feels like.
Who are we seeing?
Kiski Norwin, since my daughter goes to Norwin. And yeah.
Okay.
Not because that's going to be a good game, because.
Yeah, you know, I haven't heard much about either of those programs recently, but.
Nor will you.
I can't say that that one's on my radar to keep up with at all. But anyways, all right, before we dive into this entirely, this is going to be a very question-oriented show, as they typically are on Friday. DB, I got to get your reaction first and foremost to this. Doesn't necessarily involve the Steelers, but there is some fallout, as we kind of covered from all avenues yesterday with Alan and myself, the Micah Parsons trade to the Green Bay Packers. What was your thought when you see this?
Just an utter hilarious decision from the Dallas Cowboys organization, to be honest with you. You just don't trade the best pass rusher, arguably, in the NFL, entering the prime of his career. Like, you just don't. That's just something you don't do, especially to a contender, in my opinion, in the NFC that's probably going to be picking in the mid to late 20s. I mean, they're going to be a playoff team. So, yeah, I mean, good for Green Bay. I've said this a lot recently, because I think we have a couple really poorly run organizations in the NFL. The Browns are up there. The Falcons are up there. Dallas drafts really well, but like Jerry, I think, is unfortunately a bit senile in his old age. So I've said this a lot, but you just got to take advantage of the bad organizations wherever you can. Like, put a laser red dot on the bad GMs and go after them. And, you know, you'll reap the benefits for it. So, yeah, just a hilarious decision from Dallas. Good for the Steelers, just because they do own Dallas's third-round pick. I don't think that the offense is going to be, if Dak's healthy, CD, George Pickens, like, they're going to be able to score points, I think. That defense is going to be hilariously bad. They couldn't stop the run last year. When Micah was on the field, they were one of the best defenses in the league, second best, I believe, in EPA per play. With him off, I think they were dead last. So, yeah, going to be a hilarious watch, especially as Jerry tries to control the media narrative, getting these texts out to all the insiders, which I find very, very funny. But yeah, just a hilarious decision. Good for Green Bay. Take advantage of the bad GMs.
The Cowboys have been a hate watch for me basically my entire life. And, you know, there's been, for the most part, it's been hilarious. Profitable. It's largely been profitable on my end. You know, even when they're good, they get to the playoffs and seem like they're a, you know, very heavy favorite, and then somehow manage to screw it up. So yeah, I'll very much enjoy the Dallas hate, especially because, like you said, we have some implications there with that third round pick. But all right, let's move on to some questions that we got from our audience that are pertaining specifically to the Steelers. I like Josh's one right here, going right to the offensive line. We know that that's a key part of how things are going to go this year. Josh says, what's a realistic expectation for the offensive line, specifically in the offense as a whole, assuming that Rodgers is able to stay healthy? DB, I'll start with you.
I mean, I think that there's a realistic chance that they could be like middle of the pack. I think that's like realistic for this year. I think Fautanu is going to be a really, really, really good player. Roger Jones looks a little bit more comfortable on the left side, so we'll see. I think Sam Malo's getting up there in age, but I still think he's a solid starter. I think Mason McCormick is like playable. He's a baseline starter, I think. So Really, it just depends on how the tackles are going to do. I know the thing about Rodgers, like staying healthy, is he's going to get the ball out quick, so it's going to reduce the exposure a little bit. But like Rodgers, as you've seen kind of with some of the numbers last year, like the pressure to sack ratio, like even though he still kind of has that playmaking instinct, like he wants to do it, he really just can't move around in the pocket very much anymore. He doesn't have that quick twitch. So they're going to need to be really good in pass protection. I think the run game is more so like where I'm interested in, because we just haven't seen an efficient run game in quite some time. And really Arthur Smith's run games like haven't been even very good recently. So that's going to be a big point of emphasis, I'm sure, with them being the heavy personnel run first team that they want to be. So yeah, I think middle of the pack is a realistic expectation. If they're lower than that, there needs to be some changes, I think, with the coaching staff.
And real quick before Alan goes, I just want to say, and also like, if you want to take their word for it, and I will until we see it on display, like hiding a lot of stuff with the run game as well, what we're actually going to see throughout the preseason and stuff. So I don't even know what to expect when we get to next Sunday in East Rutherford, but
I can't say this for sure because I ain't at practice every day.
Yep.
I'm just saying, like, the day that Arthur Smith changes what his run game looks like will be a glorious day, I think, in Steelers Nation, but also a very big surprise for me. So I'm very much in wait and see mode. Prove me wrong, Art.
That's fair.
Prove me wrong.
Alan, go ahead.
I'll say this. I don't know that they're ever going to change the bread and butter, which is going to be wide zone, 100%. Mm-hmm. But I think you'll see some different change-ups this year that'll be interesting. I'm not sure I can say more than that. But like I think like last year they ran a lot of wide zone and they ran a lot of other stuff that did not work that well. I think I like some of the other stuff I've seen better than like the toss sequence last year, that while like efficiency wise wasn't any worse than anything else they ran, was not an effective change up for them. I think they can do better, and I think they will do better in that regard. Talking about the offensive line, I don't think they're going to be one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. But like, look at like the Ravens. Like, Tyler Linderbaum's a really good center, one of the best centers in the league. But like the rest of those guys are just kind of okay to above average. Like, I think the Steelers can have that good of an offensive line pretty easily this year. And I don't know where you would rank the Ravens in terms of offensive lines, maybe like somewhere between, I don't know, like 7 and 12, 7 and 15, somewhere in there. Like, so I think they could be that good this season. I really think Zach Frazier is going to end up being like a Pro Bowler perennially. I think we're going to see a really like just solid play from Troy Fautanu. And honestly, like, I think Broderick Jones will struggle at times with some certain pass rushers, but I think run blocking, they'll be a force. I think they'll be an above average run blocking unit on the whole.
This is just a quick one, so we can knock this one out of the way. And honestly, probably don't have to leave this to Alan. I could have just looked at this prior, but I just in real time seeing this. Kyle asked how much cap space Steelers currently sit at.
Well, it's one of those loaded questions. It depends on who you ask and whether you're factoring in stuff that you know you're going to need to pay for or not. They got about $20 million though that they can spend right now, and then like they could make a lot more. I don't know exactly how much they could make, but it's pretty significant.
I think we had a question last week from this guy, but Matt Ryan, who had a fantastic career with the Atlanta Falcons, and will probably
question from him long ago.
Yeah, finished up with the Indianapolis Colts. Said, who will be the most noticeable addition early on in the season? This could be a rookie, a trade, free agent signing, and why? I'll start with you for this one.
Early on in the season.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers? I mean, it's a pretty big addition. Is that a dumb answer to that question? I don't know. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the biggest and most notable change in the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially at the beginning of the season. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that one.
Okay. Did he?
I'll say Jalen Ramsey. I just think that pretty big upgrade over somebody
the
like
defense
Beanie
with
Bishop.
Jalen Ramsey out there looks so different. It really does.
So there's a lot of intrigue around that addition for me, just in terms of the different things that they'll be able to get to. I'm optimistic that it's going to facilitate some like necessary change and tweaks schematically that they've kind of been, lagging behind. I feel like the rest of the league in, but yeah, just having a player that versatile, I think is going to be pretty cool to watch, and also just like the talent upgrade in terms of like comparing him against a guy like Beanie Bishop, who was like fine for a undrafted free agent that you had to play last year. But you look at some of the other guys they've had to play in that spot just over the recent years beyond Bishop, like Patrick Peterson, Cam Sutton when he came back, Shandon Sullivan. I mean, it's just been like a total Arthur Millette. Yeah. I mean, it's just been like recycling through guys that are like into the roster type players, where I think Jalen can be a legitimate impact player. I'm actually like writing up some stuff from like some season long predictions and stuff like that for some content next week. And one of my bold predictions involves Ramsey. So yeah, I mean, I also tweeted this out earlier today. Like if you look at the Steelers schedule, like speaking of early in the season, like their first 4 games, like the defense should be sitting pretty. I feel like being pretty excited about like what their opponents look like. You look at the Jets, they've got a brand new quarterback. They've got a first-time offensive coordinator. The Seahawks have a new quarterback, new OC combo. The Pats have a new offensive coordinator. I know Josh McDaniels is not new to New England, but he is new with Drake May. And then the Vikings, they've got a new quarterback that's a pretty big question mark in terms of J.J. McCarthy and where that team could go. So there's a lot of talent on those teams, especially like defensively, but like offensively, I think the Steelers are going to be at an upper hand just because of, they've got kind of a nice combination of like proven guys that have been in the scheme for a while and then some fun new additions. So, but yeah, Ramsey would definitely be my answer.
I think what DB just said is just the Steelers are going 4-0. Bet the house on it. That's all I heard right there. That's all
I was going to say.
That's all I got. There were other words, but that's all I was hearing.
I was going to say that was incredibly impressive, that Yap session that just took place. I think I asked you like 4 minutes ago who you thought was going to be the most noticeable addition, and then you end up going on a spiel about the Steelers' first 4 opponents.
This is pretty much just like my life. So yeah. Yeah, me just like rambling on about just random thoughts that enter through my head.
Yeah, like if I was to pick one from each side, it would have been the one you guys each said. I was going to go with Jalen Ramsey, but to be honest, like I'll go with something a little bit different. And I know that we're all bullish on him, but like I really think what Troy Fautanu is going to do at that right tackle spot, stabilizing it, it's going to be very noticeable. I mean, I think he's going to be fantastic there. So I'll go with that just to be a little bit different and give us a third option on the panel here. To the question. Sorry, something in real time that somebody tweeted me happening here, not to get thrown off there. Michael said, since the Steelers obviously will be moving up in round 1 in next April's NFL draft, will you guys find yourselves more fixated on college football this year than typical years? And is there a quarterback already that is on your mind?
DB, I'll start with you. We'll be fixated. Okay. There's no.
I mean,
y'all aren't just
every year.
This clear instruction to be like, it better be for sure.
I know that we like us 3 certainly always are, but Alan even mentioned this on an episode of Afternoon Drive. I don't know, a week or 2 ago, where it's like from a coverage standpoint, this year will certainly be a lot different. DB's obviously going to have a massive hand in that. DB, I mean, you're already grinding the tape regardless, but does this year feel a little bit different because of knowing where the Steelers are at and taking that franchise signal caller next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's it's kind of a catch-22 because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're still looking for the quarterback these however many years later, but at the same time, it is fun, to kind of theorize about the potential options and also like going into the season, really with like week 1 of college football starting. Just like looking at all the guys and trying to track their progress throughout the season. So yeah, there's a lot of talented passers out there in college football. And I mean, I wouldn't say that it's any different though, in terms of how I approach it. I mean, maybe a little bit more intrigue from a fandom perspective, but I don't know, doing the NFL draft stuff's kind of become part of my job. So I kind of have to be locked in regardless of what's happening. But I am excited.
I mean, for somebody like me, I think it is a bit different just because I definitely don't look at it the same perspective you typically do and break it down in the same way. Like, to be honest with you, I probably I casually will watch college football, but I feel like I watch more leading up to the NFL draft, going back and watching it than I do actually live on Saturdays. But now with the focus on quarterback, I think that I'll definitely be more dialed in personally. So from a fan base perspective, I can definitely speak to that. I don't have anything left to say on that we haven't said already.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it really helps. Like you're saying, like, I don't have a lot of time during the season. Like Saturday's often a travel day for me.
Right.
Having an idea now what I think the Steelers need in the draft definitely makes it a lot easier to know how I need to spend my time in college football. Like a lot of times we get to the January, February, and maybe by then it's clear what's happening with the Steelers. Like get to the Senior Bowl, right? And then it's like, oh, now we know what's going on with what the Steelers are doing, right? Like Mike Tomlin will kind of give away the intentions with his attention there. And it's like at that point, I'm like, okay, now I need to go back and start watching some of these guys, right? Whereas like now I just know it's quarterback and I know what the quarterbacks are already. Like just like that one, even if you're a casual, like in every year, even if the Steelers aren't looking for a quarterback, I'm going to know who the quarterbacks are. Like it would be different if the Steelers were going into this draft desperately needing a left guard. And then I would be like, okay, I got to do some work here to figure out like who the guys are, what games I need to be watching. I mean, every college football fan can rattle off the top 5 to 10 quarterbacks in the class. Like in this instance, I think it's almost a little bit easier than it would be if it was a different position.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Richie said, is there a matchup on the schedule right now that we're looking forward to more so than others? I mean, the division's always fun, right? But like that Packers Sunday night game was already circled for me. Sunday night football, they're wearing the throwbacks that they just broke out. Aaron Rodgers playing against the Packers. And then there's a new wrinkle that just got added in 24 hours ago with Micah Parsons being on the Green Bay Packers. So if I was just picking one, it would probably be that one.
Man, I was still in like college football mode. I was about to be like, yeah, Texas, Ohio State. I can't wait. I'm fired up. That's a big game tomorrow. Like I'm ready to go. I want to see Arch out there against a top defense. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, the AFC North stuff is always interesting. I mean, I think from my perspective, I just, I want to see them go up against the best teams. So, I just said that I thought Green Bay was a contender. So that night game is going to be cool. I think it would probably be easily the biggest matchup if it was at Lambeau instead of at Acrisure, just because the whole allure about like Rodgers going back home, like there will be a lot of hype leading up to that game, just with it being like him versus the Packers for the first time or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a game that I got circled. I mean, there are other units that I've just like studied over the off season just for like trying to like learn more. I think the stuff that Mike McDonald does on defense is like extremely cool. Spent a lot of time looking at Flores' defense, some of the stuff that they do. So those early season matchups too, even outside the AFC North and the headliners, like those are going to be fun. Even though I'm not super interested in watching like, the Seahawks offense for
real. Buffalo comes here the Sunday following Thanksgiving, so it'll be
good measuring stick to good barometer for where the team's at, if they're legit in the AFC or not.
Sticking with Aaron Rodgers, a lot of stuff coming back to Aaron Rodgers today. Sean had a question a while ago about Aaron Rodgers' ability to translate to this offense, given his background with LaFleur and the influence LaFleur had on Art's offense in Tennessee when Art was a position coach and LaFleur the OC. How similar are those two offenses? Would it make Aaron's transition smoother? And can we expect to be similarly good fit as it was for Aaron in Green Bay, where he won the MVPs? Obviously not expecting that good of results, but would you think that he could at least provide solid play within the structure?
I mean, I think one of the reasons you get a 21-year-old veteran is that he's basically run everything that you could ever think to run. And none of it's going to even plausibly be new to him. I guarantee Aaron Rodgers knows more plays than Arthur Smith does. Like I just like there's no like it. I don't think Arthur Smith's offense last year was that similar to what LaFleur runs. I don't think this year's Arthur Smith offense is going to be super similar to last year, so it might be more similar this year. But I think it's mostly just going to be about doing what Rodgers wants to do than it is because Arthur Smith worked with LaFleur once upon a time. But like outside of the wishbone, I feel like you could pretty much just go do anything, and I don't think you're really going to throw Rodgers something he can't handle. Like I don't know what that. Like there are like Russell Wilson, older, yeah, but like it's just a completely different kind of player. Like he was sort of scheme dependent when he was good. Aaron Rodgers is not that guy. I feel like you could literally give Aaron Rodgers any NFL playbook ever invented, and he would do just fine with it this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see like how they blend the stuff that Rodgers likes and how they kind of blend that just with like what Arthur Smith has run like in previous stops and things like that. It is, I do think it's kind of a clunky fit, but it's not to say that like, I mean, players can adapt like as they get older. Like I am open to that being the case in this instance. I mean, some of the things that kind of held the Jets back last year, among other things, like him working back from the injury, some of the stuff with the personnel is just like, it just was a really stale offense that was really predictable. Like Aaron kind of only wanted to do a couple different things. And then like you look at Art last year, like he was hamstrung by a quarterback that couldn't see over his offensive line, couldn't throw the ball over the middle of the field. So you had to change a lot of that. So what we saw last year is like very different from like what Art's offense looked like in Atlanta or in Tennessee. I think the best case scenario here, and I think it's what everybody kind of envisions, is like what was going on in Tennessee, where like he was able to turn Ryan Tannehill into this like point and shoot type of quarterback where you're getting in a lot of these condensed formations, heavy personnel, play action. Like you hit your back foot, rip it no matter what. Like that's what you need to do. Does Rodgers want to play that style of ball? I don't know. I have some concerns about that, but I mean, we'll find out extremely quickly what the offense looks like structurally, and if like he's willing to buy into that sort of approach. If he does, because his arm is still good enough, there is, optimism with that. But it all that comes back to the run game, right? Like you can't be bottom 5 and like rushing success rate and expect like that type of approach that's going to work. Not that you need to be a successful run game to do a lot of play action, but for this offense to really work, like they're going to have to be much, much better in terms of on early downs and all that stuff. So I'm interested to see what it looks like. I don't think it's going to look all that similar to what LaFleur ran, at least recently, because like all the wide zone teams have kind of flipped to gap stuff. Like LaFleur is doing a lot of power and stuff out of the gun. Like McVay's went to duo. Even San Francisco, like Shanahan, I think people still think of him as like a wide zone guy. They're doing a lot of power. So Art's kind of like in his own little world out there, just still sticking with the wide zone stuff. So, but maybe that could change too. Who knows? We'll see.
I think the one thing you said there at the very beginning is really important. It's like players can change. I think specifically when failure creates the impetus for change. Like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers was leaving the Jets thinking, well, I want to do that again. I think he intentionally left the Jets thinking, okay, that didn't work. I want to go do something different now. I want to go find someone else that I think I can work with that will not be exactly what I was doing, because that clearly did not work. And so I think that like, that's why I don't have a lot of concern about, oh, it's not what Rodgers was doing before. I think Rodgers is smart enough to know that what he was doing before wasn't working. And I think he sought out someone doing something else pretty intentionally.
Yeah. I mean, and to that point too, just last thing real quick, it's just like, this is the end of the road. Like he's already talked about, like, this is probably his last year in the NFL. Like Rodgers is a really prideful guy. Every NFL quarterback is, but especially like the all-time greats, those guys have a lot of pride. So I'm assuming that I'm very sure that he is going to, do everything he can to like, leave a good impression like on his way out. Now, what happens, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that that's kind of that light bulb kind of went off. It's like, okay, this is time for change, and Art's got to change some too. And that's why I think like the blending of the ideas, there is a world where it does work.
Alan, I apologize for backing you into a corner if this can't be said, but I was what you just said about Aaron Rodgers seeking something different because of the failures with the Jets. Has that been something that was discussed, like by him, asked about, or is that just like your personal opinion of it?
He talked a little bit about when he was asked about Arthur Smith, that like it was someone that he specifically sought out Arthur Smith as someone that he wanted to work with. That like when he was part of the process for him about deciding whether he wanted to come back is, do any of the teams that will have me, that want me, is there someone there that I want to work with, that I can see success with? And I think Arthur Smith is a big part of what brought Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh. I mean, not to like shovel dirt on the guy, but like I think if Matt Canada is the offensive coordinator, Rodgers isn't coming here. Like I think he very specifically saw something in what Arthur Smith does that he thinks he can work with. And I don't think he was going to somewhere where he didn't see that. Like if he didn't think there was a coordinator that had something he wanted to do, he was just going to sit at home. Like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like that was a part of the process for him.
I mean, if this much later, like years later, Matt Canada was still here, I might be pulling an Anthony Richardson and tapping out of the fan base as well. So I would not want to be a free agent quarterback picking to come here if that's.
I mean,
yeah.
Hey, what if like Kenny Pickett never breaks his ankle and then weird stuff happens? You never know.
The domino effect. I have the desire now after you said that to make like that meme where there's like the dominoes on each end with things in the middle, and it's Kenny Pickett getting hurt against the Cardinals, Aaron Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Maybe
and everything.
Who knows?
Yeah. This one from Pebble here with the talk about keeping picks for next year. What would the record have to be at the deadline for the Steelers to not be aggressive? Do you think that they would move any picks depending on what the record is, or that shifts their plans?
I don't think you're going to see Omar Khan be aggressive when it comes to trading away 2026 draft picks. Whatever the word that is the exact opposite of aggressive, that's what you're going to see Omar Khan be with them draft picks. He's got those things like bundled up, wrapped up. They're in a safe inside a vault with like 7 layers of security so he doesn't accidentally two-factor authentication. They're not going anywhere. That's where they're at. So I don't think they're going to be anything approaching aggressive when it comes to trading away from that pile of draft picks. Maybe the opposite.
Yeah, I mean,
if the record's not good, I think you could see some guys headed the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, the first antonym that pops up is submissive. I don't want to necessarily use that word to describe Omar Khan. But I don't know. I mean, I agree, especially like, early picks, right? Like that would have already happened. Like there'd be a different wide receiver on this roster right now if this team was willing to part with early 26 draft capital. Point blank, period. So in terms of the approach at the deadline, I mean, but I also we don't think the Steelers are going to be in that position to be sellers. I know that you said, Alan, on here, maybe you could see a little bit of both potentially happening.
Both to get something, while not trading away from the draft, right? Like it's like, okay, if the Steelers get to the deadline, it's like, yes, they still obviously need a wide receiver, and there's someone out there that they could trade. I could see the Steelers trying to deal from both sides and say, okay, let's trade away Mason Rudolph and get a wide receiver or whatever. I just picked a player, and obviously that would almost never be a 1-for-1. It would have to be, you're trading someone for a draft pick and then trading a draft pick for someone else. And maybe it doesn't have to be equal, but you're just trying to replace the asset that you're taking away from. I can see that happening. I have a hard time.
Healthy. Bruner's coming along nicely.
Yeah, you can trade Cole Holcomb. Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Maybe you could trade. I don't know. Yeah, there's other options there too, but I just think it's hard for me to see. Maybe like the Saints have an offensive line injury and they want Andrews Pete back. I don't know. Like I can see them there being that, but like There's no big splash at the deadline. I mean, 7th rounders, sure, nobody cares about those, but like I don't see some big splash coming. If the ask is draft capital, not happening.
Let the Saints know. Andres Pete for Chris Olave is on the table.
Totally,
Pittsburgh side.
Yeah, totally.
From Pittsburgh side, they'd be willing.
They'll even throw in Scotty Miller.
Wow, hold on. I don't know. The summer of Scotty. Scoot.
Scotty's such a great guy. I would feel upset by that, but gotta do sometimes.
Gabe, kind of similar thought here. We'll wrap up with this one. As we look at it right now, what do we feel like a realistic plan is for wide receiver, both now and in the future? Obviously, you have DK locked up, but going to be difficult to get premier talent with the likelihood of a trade up for a quarterback next year. So what's the fallout?
Fallout is they have the receivers they have. I mean, I think
pray.
Sign Gabe Davis when his knee's finally healthy.
I'm not concerned. I'm not really super concerned about like necessarily the avenues available to go get a wide receiver. Like there will be wide receivers available. It's really just about like
you talking next year?
Yeah, next year. Yeah. This year they're screwed. Yeah,
that's why he said in the short end.
Is he talking about 2025?
2025, there's nobody out there.
2025, it's cooked. And and to your point about the draft or the trading the draft picks, like don't do what they did last year at the deadline. Like don't send a 5th round pick for 8 catches of Mike Williams. Like that's just literally setting assets on fire. Like if we get to the halfway point this year and the Steelers are a fringe wild card team, like, don't go overpay for a half-season rental for somebody who's not going to be here next year. Like, that's just not a good allocation of resources. Even if, like, a 5th-round pick isn't the end of the world, like, every little bit counts. It gives you another dart throw on a young player, a cost-controlled asset. But, I mean,
somebody
even with
made
the
a
trade
really
up
good point in the YouTube comments yesterday. It's like, everyone right now is like, yes, trade that 5th-round pick. Who cares? But right now, if someone was like, the Steelers traded for pick some like bottom of the barrel wide receiver, the Tim Patrick. If they traded YA Black for him right now, even though he has not even played a game yet, people would be like beside themselves. But if you trade the 5th round pick, before it has a name and a face, nobody cares.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily think that the trade up for a quarterback is going to be the end of the world.
Just if they traded Will Howard for like some like wide receiver that's one step ahead of the waiver wire, like I mean we may have to get the National Guard in here, like for the
Patriots trade Tom Brady. I didn't think so. So Steelers cannot trade.
But also everyone would be like, yeah, trade that 6th round pick. Who cares? But again, now that the 6th round pick exists in the flesh, they would just be unbelievably angry.
Yeah, I mean, I think though, like, what I think will be more interesting than like just I feel like worrying about their ability to go get a wide receiver is just figuring out if that is going to be actually something that they prioritize. I mean, I think you can like look at the Steelers roster and like how they've addressed that room over the last 2 years, and like you can just say that they've kind of put that position on the back burner, whereas like other teams are viewing it as like a premier spot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they had Van Jefferson like locked in as wide receiver 2 last year to play 1 billion snaps. This year they're going into it with Calvin Austin, who I think is like a fine like complimentary piece for sure, and then Roman Wilson, who is like a late 3rd round pick who missed like his entire rookie season. Those are the guys that's going to be occupying that spot across the DK Metcalf. So, I mean, they're approaching it differently than most NFL teams. I think for me, I'm more concerned that trend will continue. Like they'll continue to put it on the back burner and not prioritize it more than I am like, will they have the resources to prioritize it? They had the resources to prioritize it this offseason. There was nothing preventing them from going and getting Josh Palmer, guys like that. I mean, not that the free agent wide receiver class is like anything sexy by any stretch of the imagination, but like there was nothing financially preventing them from going to get Josh Palmer.
Cap space, as we just got done saying.
There's actually nothing really preventing them right now from going to get Jacoby Myers, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't think the Raiders have any intention of trading.
Yeah, that is true. It takes 2 to tango for sure.
But like they could have had Brandon Cooks for like $6 million, or any number of guys like that who are not necessarily setting the world on fire, but like plenty good enough to take that role, and they just didn't seem interested in any of them. And also, the 4th round draft pick is another example of them sort of shoving wide receiver to the side. And I definitely agree that is like a concerning trend. I know that they've been prioritizing the trenches first and foremost with this rebuild, and I'm okay with the idea of them thinking like wide receivers should be one of the later places they turn their attention to comparatively. But I do think the continued lack of focus there does start to raise the question of whether this is just a case of, hey, you can only do so much every offseason, and for whatever reason didn't get there 2 years in a row, or is this a sort of pervasive blind spot that is going to be a bigger problem in the future? Like, the Steelers aren't one wide receiver away from winning something they were going to win without one this year. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It becomes a big a deal if you drafted a first-round receiver and you're expecting him to throw the likes of Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin as his primary outside weapons. Like, that's not going to work. You have to understand that that position is important, and there has to be a willingness and a desire to eventually address it. And I don't know that we have a ton of clarity about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is like, Pete, I think we've kind of like lost sight of that a little bit, just in my opinion, on how people discuss the Steelers roster, is because for the past couple of years, there's been this idea that it's like the Steelers are a quarterback away. Like, they just got to find a quarterback. Like, it doesn't even have to be a superstar. They find a above average, good starting quarterback, and this team will be a contender. And it's like, if you really kind of like go back and peel apart the layers, like the receiving talent and the ability to run the ball is still not there. Like, I think that has not been proven. Now, could it be this year? And like, we look at it differently this time next year? Sure. I would be kind of surprised that the receiver room like looked differently 4 months from now than we think about it right now. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I do think that it's like, it is different. Like, when you got a guy like Josh Allen, you can head into the season with guys like Khalil Shakir, Josh Palmer, Dalton Kincaid as like your primary weapons, because it's like those are solid pieces that Josh will elevate. If you have a young quarterback, or you don't have like one of the 5 or 6 true game changers, you kind of need the receivers to help elevate that young quarterback until he gets to that level. Like, that's the whole purpose of like how to construct the top 10 offense, aside from having like a really good play caller. So yeah, that's a long-winded spiel about that, but
no, that's like what we've talked about a lot. Like, are you trying to be the Chiefs, or are you trying to be the Eagles? If you're trying to be the Chiefs and you just are, the whole thing is go find that quarterback, and if you find him, the rest doesn't matter, fine. But if the idea is you're trying to win something before you get there, or you're going to win with a young quarterback, you need an Eagles-like roster. And the Eagles 1-2, outside of Cincinnati, maybe as good as anybody wide receiver. 1 through 4, probably the best in the league. You got to have it everywhere. If you're not like that at quarterback, and you want to go beat Mahomes or Allen or Jackson or Burrow,
kind of hard to find those guys too.
Yeah,
it's pretty hard. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, good stuff. It's funny that DB mentioned being long-winded on that. I was just saying, well, that's new. But anyway, good stuff is always here on a Friday with all 3 of us. DB, tell the people they can find you so they could get more Yap sessions as well as your writing.
Yeah, more Yap. At Steelers_DB on Twitter and YouTube. You can find all my written work at SteelersNow.com.
There we go. Alan?
Hey, Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now sites account, SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the words so I can get paid. Sign up for SN Plus, and you get the best from me, DB, the rest of the SN team. Access to our subscribers-only live stream once a month with the whole gang, and an ad-free reading experience over at SteelersNow.com, which is the best part. Anyone can subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel as we continue the growth of this platform, which has just been tremendous. We are now at 16,500, and Kobe Hamilton subscribers, 83.
Legend.
Way in his bag there.
I'm so mad because I was going to say it's another number where only one name's going to come to mind for everybody. Kobe Hamilton. But couldn't do it. Is there another 83 besides he?
Oh, there are definitely other 83s, yes. I mean, there's the current one, which we try to avoid.
Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that with the people in the I should have even said his first name right there for people in the comments. I don't know. I don't have a good one. Kobe Hamilton was on my mind. I saw that number and I was like, I know what I'm gonna say. So Alan ruined my moment. It happens quite a bit on here, to be honest.
Louis Lips from the 80s, Theo Bell from back in the late 70s. You got a couple 90s guys, Corey Holiday, Andre Coleman. I feel like there should have been like an early aughts one ahead of Heath, but I can't put my brain on who that might have been.
Keep adding to that number. Like I said on yesterday's show, we're closer to 17,000 than we are 16,000 now, which is awesome. It's also the 7th year anniversary for the YouTube channel. So shout out to the YouTube channel for being 7 years old. Also, what's fire, DB, is next week when we do one of these, there will have been a regular season game played.
Ain't that the best
How great
thing?
Is that to say?
It just makes me so happy. So happy.
If you guys are listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, be sure there's a 5-star review and subscribe over there. It's been about a week since we got one, so let's get the 5-star reviews rolling in again. We need those. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok. You'll find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH, for Derrick Bell, Alan Saunders, and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.